her. Jim.
Yes, it is no surprise that Cynthia Summer believes the jury got it wrong. She says a court appeal is in the works, but it was clear that her public appeal began in earnest today.
No, I didn't do anything, and I know that I didn't do anything. I know that I couldn't, I know that I wouldn't, and I know that I didn't.
Cynthia Summer referring to her family, who she says stand by her despite the fact a jury of 5 men and 7 women determined she was guilty of poisoning her Marine husband.
For the jury to convict someone of first-degree murder on it had to be her, I don't understand how our justice system can fail me like that.
Summer maintains the case was full of reasonable doubt, like the forensic testing of her husband's tissue.
We don't even know if they're his tissues. There's problems. The guy that did the original arsenic test, it was his first arsenic test that he had ever done. They didn't take into any of that consideration.
So what does she think the jury considered, and did her taking the stand make a difference?
I'm not sure. I think that they had already made up their mind. I think that really that when it started, I think they had made up their mind.
But what about the impression of her wild partying behavior after her husband's death?
I don't know, I guess have never been a grieving wife, you know, and that's my answer is until you're in someone's shoes, you don't know how you would respond. And a lot of women my age, that they do the same thing. I started drinking, and that was my priority. I didn't want to be in the house. My husband died there. I looked at my children. I didn't want to have anything to do with it, and I wanted to be as far away as possible, and I didn't want to be sober. I don't want to be sober right now.
You have a fiance?
Not anymore.
What was the end all of that?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to him, so this has just been really hard on the whole family.
A thought that came to her again as our time concluded.
Just that I'm a human, and I have 4 children at home, and it's a family that suffers, and that's sad that I haven't seen my children in a year and a half.
I have to follow that, though, with what people will think is, well, what about Todd? What about his family?
I feel bad for his family that they think that I did that, and I'm not even sure that they think that I did. It's horrific, and I wouldn't want anybody to go through that, you know, being a parent.
Cynthia Summers says that she has a cousin now working on a website to garner support for her cause. She says she has received calls from throughout the country from people that believe she is innocent. Of course, the legal system found her guilty, and she could spend the rest of her life in prison. Reporting live in Santee, Jim Patton, Fox 6 News. Still windy out here tonight, and of course windy enough today to bring down this massive eucalyptus tree, 100 feet tall, and this is part of what it did. This is one of 2 cars that were hit by this tree. Now this vehicle happened to have 2 young women inside.
We heard crackling, like the tree was about to fall, and immediately everybody starts looking out the window. And it's like that feeling you got like something was about to happen.
Tony Williams was in Univ Apparels when he got that feeling, while his friend Nash Lundquist was arriving in his car.
I pulled into my parking spot, got out of my car, and immediately I see this tree just starting to fall, and I'm like, oh man.
Coming toward the ground was a massive 100-foot tall eucalyptus tree weighing several tons.
And like the whole ground shook.
The tree came down on 2 cars, one with 2 sisters who were pulling out of the Hanson Surf Shop.
The tree just hit them hard. Branches came through the windows, broke the windshield.
Despite the violent impact, the women ages 19 and 23 escaped with barely a scratch.
These 2 girls were extremely lucky. I mean, you can imagine how much weight must have been coming down by looking at the size of this tree.
While one of the girls retrieved items from her damaged car, she and her sister declined interviews, telling caretakers at Hanson's they were just too shaken by the experience. A woman who spoke to the girls said they told her they didn't know what had hit them, and that one branch actually came down right between them. The 2 also said they had to crawl through a back door to get out of the car. Earlier in the day, a less dramatic scene in Hillcrest as a branch from a pine tree knocked down a power line, cutting electricity to thousands for about 40 minutes. Some found opportunity in the weather as kite surfers in Pacific Beach rode high winds and high waves. And we're back here live. You talk about a traumatizing experience. You're looking inside that car where the driver and passenger seat is, and you can see the eucalyptus leaves all inside there. And as we pull out, you see the damage to the side of the door here around them. Branches actually came up through the sunroof on top of them. They were really enveloped in this tree that, as they said, came out of nowhere. All right, want to check in now with the man who's been tracking the winds today, our weather tracker, Dave Hecht. Dave?
Yeah. Story, Jim.
Brian, as you know, this fire rescue helicopter was really born, the ownership of it, born out of the 2003 wildfires. Prior to that time, the city leased the helicopter, but that lease ran out just 3 days in advance of the Cedar fire. While that fire burned, it took a full day to get the helicopter back, and there's no telling what difference it might have made. Well, it is a permanent fixture now and making a difference every day. Based in Montgomery Field in Kearney Mesa, Copter One is a highly modified Bell 212 HP medium lift helicopter, capable of carrying up to 3,500 pounds. It flies with a standard crew of 3, a crew chief,
Kind of like a fire captain on a fire engine. It's the same type of thing.
a pilot,
I've flown multiple different models, and this is one of my favorites.
and a rescue medic.
It's very rewarding, but yet very challenging and dangerous, but it's a lot of fun.
Fire squad will be low-level training for the next 40 minutes to an hour.
To get an idea of just how challenging, dangerous, and fun this job is, Fox 6 photojournalist Dave Falskog and I are riding along to observe and take part in training. At the Lake Murray Reservoir, we learned this copter really sucks.
You can actually feel the aircraft being sucked to the water when you hit the switch.
Unlike most firefighting helicopters, which take a minute to a minute and a half using an electric motor to fill their water tanks, Copter One has a snorkel system powered by its engines. It can fill its 375-gallon tank in 17 seconds.
You can put 3 times as much water on a fire with this system as you can with the old system.
And Copter One can do it at night. The aircraft is equipped with the latest in night vision goggles and a thermal imaging system.
You can get shadows off the stars. It's amazing.
Whether the heat of a human being or the smoldering remnants of a fire, Copter One can spot it.
You can see fire where there's like hot spots where on the ground unaided you can't see them, so we can actually continue working on fires and on possible trouble spots.
Whether it's dropping water, whether it's a hoist extraction, whether it's some type of medical transport, no matter what it is, we can also do it at night and do it safely.
And safety is a guiding principle for everything Copter One does.
Tremendous effort to try to control any risk.
With their lives bound by the same flying machine, the crew has to agree a mission is secure.
If weather just won't allow, we won't go. So it's got to be safe. We don't want to put the helicopter or ourselves in peril. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible.
And as we would learn firsthand, each crew member relies heavily on the other's skills and expertise. At Sycamore Canyon, we're about to practice a rescue using the hoist. Playing the victim in this case, this reporter. Step 1, rescue paramedic Perry Esquer is lowered in on a 250-foot cable, which allows access to almost any location. As a firefighter paramedic, Perry can provide extensive first aid. But with the caveat of flight at the end of a cable, he also has a keen talent for assurance. Everything's safe, right?
Everything's safe. We're all good. Anybody would be apprehensive, coming up a hoist, at 400 or 500 feet off the ground. Make them at least have the sense that, I am in control of the situation. Everything's going to be all right.
Carabiner is closed and locked.
Once I'm secured in the harness, Perry signals for Copter One to return for the pickup. The crew chief, positioned at the top of the hoist, helps guide the pilot in. And within a few moments, we are hooked on and in the air. Nice to know Copter One has 2 engines.
If we were to lose one engine of the 2, it allows us the flyaway capability, which gives a lot of peace of mind when you have people suspended below you.
Or when you have a copter hovering above. This maneuver is carried out for real rescues 40 to 50 times a year.
I know that for a fact that we've gotten several people out of very, very bad spots.
And that's what Copter One is all about, getting people out of bad spots, whether fighting fire, search and rescue, or emergency medical transport. This aircraft is equipped to do the job. And if you're wondering what it's like to be hoisted up on that cable, what I remember the most is just being focused and doing what I was told to do. The fire department recently announced the hiring of another crew so that this helicopter can be available 24/7. But in reality, it's going to be down for maintenance at times, and the goal now is to get another helicopter so that one will be guaranteed to be available at all times. Reporting live at Montgomery Field, Jim Patton, Fox 6 News.